Hey, I'm Cyber Art. Welcome back to my channel. And recently, I've been seeing a lot of artists and people in the industry making videos about how they are making art their full-time career after being laid off or quitting their job. And I want to share my story and my journey that I'm going on too, since I've seen so many other people do it. And so, yeah, today I'm going to be talking about my art journey and being laid off in post-production to becoming a full-time artist, or on my way to becoming a full-time artist. So to start my story, it starts way farther back than, hey, I got laid off and this is what I'm doing now. So ever since I was younger, I always wanted to be an artist. Like the dream career was being like a Loish or a Ross Draws, by the time I was like 12 or so. Because, having your hobby be fully what you do and making a living out of that is just, sorry if you hear noises and honking. This is the city, so unfortunately. When I started drawing, I just wanted to be an artist, really, like those Instagram artists. Like I was very inspired by them, and I never thought I was good enough because I had just started drawing and I was posting on Instagram and stuff, but I was young, right? So I didn't know that that could really be a career I could one day have. I was also really into like YouTube and watching YouTubers, especially like Eyes Cupwig. She was like my main inspiration. She still is an inspiring person to me, because seeing someone who's a woman, a gamer, an artist, like a creative, and really making their career the things that they love, I was so inspired by that. And I remember saying that like I wanted to be a YouTuber, or like I wanted to make YouTube videos. And then, it wasn't at the time a thing that you could really say you want to become and then it's just going to happen. Like you're a kid, you don't know how to go about becoming that, because YouTube at the time and creating videos was so different. I feel like there was way more of a learning curve. Nowadays we just have CapCut and Canva. It's way easier to start now, and that's why I'm happy that I started now. I remember thinking, well, okay, this isn't something I can do either. I can't be an artist and I can't do YouTube because like it's not a stable thing. People tell you like, where's your retirement plan if you're a YouTuber, or like, how are you gonna get insurance for things? So it just wasn't something I'm like, okay, I guess I can do that as a backup. But for the longest time, I wanted to be a writer. I enjoyed writing so much and I really wanted to be a writer. I knew I had to do something creative because there was no way I could ever do math or anything like that. That's way out the way for me. So I really want to be a writer, but the thing is that I sucked at grammar and punctuation. I don't know if it was because of my ADHD. I just could not focus on writing words properly or really taking the time to sound them out or go over and revision my work. Like I just sped through things. So I was like, okay, I can't be at the academic level I need to be for writing because of my grammar and punctuation. Mind you, I was great at writing plots of stories. I had written a story that my teacher didn't even believe that I wrote, because they're like, did you write this? This is not at your usual level for English. Eventually, I remember I was watching the trailer for the video game Smite, and I was thinking, like, how do people make this? Like Smite, League of Legends, those game trailers. I'm like, how do people make this? How do they create this? Like, what is the process? Because I thought it was so cool, like the 3D model look of it. And I kind of showed it to my mom, and she's like, oh, why don't you go into animation? And it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, oh, like I can do a job like that. Like that's sort of a creative job that like I can learn how to do. I'd go to school for, I'd get it. And it's like a proper job. So I ended up taking that route and going into 3D animation school. And from there, I kind of fell in love with post-production and the look of post-production and realism, and not really staying close to like the Disney side of things. And so from there, I ended up going into post-production. I really enjoyed post-production. I loved what I did. I found it a skill that was fun to learn and very rewarding, because it's always visual, right? You're always seeing the work that you're putting out. And so I ended up graduating from 3D animation. I had took some art courses there, and I also wanted to really follow closely and be a concept artist. But I realized nowadays being a concept artist, it's so much more than just being able to paint an environment or just paint characters. Skill level to it and an understanding of other things and using programs I really did not enjoy using to become that. And it kind of fell for me. I honestly wasn't really into digital art, though I had a tablet, like a Surface Pro, and I had like Krita on it, or even Photoshop. I had Photoshop for a certain amount of time. But opening those programs and sitting there at my computer drawing, it never felt organic to me. I never wanted to keep picking it up. It just felt like a task. So once Procreate and my iPad came along, I started drawing so much more because it was way more convenient and way more easier to use. I truly did fall in love with digital art all over again because of that. I ended up going into post-production, and I quickly got a job, and I was working at that job for a while, and it was really great. I'm so grateful for the time that I worked there. I got to work on some crazy, amazing projects at the age of 19, and I feel so like honored to be able to learn and be a part of that and be a part of people that are so great at what they do, and that is like their passion, you know. But I found it so hard to manage my love for art and have a job that is more than just a 9 to 5. I would be lying if I told you it was a 9 to 5. Those hours were long. I was working around maybe 44 hours a week, and then sometimes you had overtime. So I found it really hard to manage that and art, especially because my days were like 12-hour days. I kind of was like, okay, like either I make this my hobby, my life, my everything, and I pour everything into this like post-production skill, or I find a way to do art sometime down the road. And I started thinking to myself, like, there's just a branch out in front of me. Like eventually, like I should try to be an illustrator, try and be an artist. Like how and when am I going to do that? Because you lose the security of your job, right? You lose the comfortability you had and knowing your stability, even though I was on a contract and I knew it was going to end soon, and I didn't know if I was going to try and renew it or get an extended contract, or if I was going to eventually leave and what I was going to do then. So layoffs started hitting because of the SAG-AFTRA strikes, and I thought I was going to be the first to go, but miraculously I was fine until like a couple months passed, and then it hit me and I got laid off. Understandably, you know, I was one of the newer people in there. That day that I got laid off, and it was raining, it was pouring, it was the worst day. It was raining and pouring, and I was just out in the rain because I had to leave immediately because you're on a contract and you can't be looking at the stuff on the computers anymore. So I had to leave right away, and I'm like out in the rain, just like, what do I do now? Like, it's such a like cinegraph. No, I don't know what the word is. It was just like a moment you see in movies. I called my boyfriend and I'm like, hey, I got laid off. Can you come pick me up? Everything started flooding to me, like on the car ride. Like I just was telling my family, and everything started flooding to me. Like I have so much time in a day. Like, what do I do now? Like, what do I do now? Like, it's just so exciting. Like I can do this, this, and this. I was on the precipice of crying, of sadness of losing something I like held so dearly, but also like wonder and excitement of like, how much can I do with all the time I have now and the skills and the work ethic I developed. And so I started getting back into the creativity that I once lost before, you know, getting this job. I thought of so much things I could do now, and I don't know really exactly where my head was at. I was writing in my diary a lot, and as time passed and I was just unemployed and figuring myself out, I started writing in my diary more and more, and my thoughts became more like, I don't think I want to go back to having a job structure like that. I don't think I want to go back to that type of work life, you know? And it's almost, you almost feel a little like guilty. Like, why do I feel like I can't do what most people do? Like, wake up, go to work, have life outside of work. But it bothered me so much just having to always ask to, if you need to go to a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment. I felt like I couldn't be creative even while I was working at home, or even I couldn't even take a second to like sketch or something. I felt like I had to be glued to my computer. It was like a paralysis almost. And I don't know if it has something to do with ADHD either, but I felt so restricted, and I felt like I had to be confined to what my job made me, because I couldn't feel like I could have hobbies outside of it. I was so tired coming home from work. I was so tired. Like, my brain didn't want to do anything creative. I just didn't feel the energy I feel like I was meant to have in life. And it's a guilty feeling because you feel like I felt like I had something so great that people were so proud of me for, that I had to really think that, like, do I really want this? But I guess a message to anyone watching is, even if you're doing something that people praise you for, that is something admirable and that you feel accepted by other people by, if it's not for you and whatever about it didn't work for you, just forget about it and do what you need to do to live a soft and comfortable life. I loved what I did, and I liked the essence of the job, of what I exactly was doing on that computer, but it was just everything around it, and like the nature of how a 9-to-5 is, that just, it didn't work for me. It didn't make me feel fulfilled at the end of the day. So after this layoff and me discovering myself, I tried to do social media. I tried to really like do TikTok. I'm like, maybe I can make money from this. Like, I'm thinking of all these avenues, and I'm like, maybe I can do Instagram. But you know how Instagram is for artists, and TikTok is, you have to have so much content to put out in a day. And I'm like, I'm not going to so many places where I can post on TikTok. I'm not, like drawing so much that I can just like keep posting a video every single day on TikTok. I did up my following on Instagram and TikTok a little bit. I started to fall in love with the idea of being a freelance artist and being a freelancer in general, being a freelance creative, which is scary, and people are so quick to tell you that's something that is not realistic. I'm so tired of it's not realistic. Well, so many people fail at it, and I'm tired of that, because the more times you think that someone's going to fail at it, you're going to think you're going to fail at it, and you're not even going to give it your 110% effort. And I think if you put consistent effort into something, and you learn about it, and you change your strategies, and you give it so much of your time and so much of your love, I really do think that you can get to a place with it where you're happy. You really do have to learn how algorithms work, how marketing yourself works, how avenues in which ways you can make money off of your freelance. I started just manifesting that energy, and there's a lot of things in my life where I manifested them. I don't even know how else to say it. I've manifested a lot of things in my life, and you got to believe that it's something that you can achieve. And you tell yourself, you wake up every day and you tell yourself that you're lucky and that things are going to work out for you, even if you don't believe it. You got to be delusional a little bit, just a little bit. Be delusional, and my friends have told me, honestly, you're like the luckiest person I've ever met. I would literally wake up every single day and literally say to myself, when I was manifesting my job in post-production, I'm so lucky, everything always works out for me. What's meant for me will never pass me. TikTok put me on that, but I haven't stopped, and honestly, things have been working out for me. And honestly, I feel like it works. You need a mantra for yourself to be your own cheerleader. So I started looking into being an illustrator, because I started thinking hey, I could see my art being on a book cover like that. I feel like my art is up to par with this. I'm getting closer and closer to thinking like maybe I can do this. I was very doubtful about my art. I never taken so much time at my skill level now to put into my art and to pour into my art. So I haven't seen my output in my art and seen the best of what I could do with it for a long time. And I just was starting to see that. I was starting to draw more and be like, hey, my art's looking way more and more polished. I feel like I'm learning more techniques and I'm getting better at this. And so one day around Christmas time, I was just at like a festival market sort of thing in a mall or whatever. I had met someone that has sort of an illustration agency sort of thing. And sometimes it's just lucky you meet someone and you say like, just try and connect, just talk to people and see how they source their illustrators or their freelance artists and see what works for other people. So my boyfriend had convinced me to just like ask them and talk to them about like how they get their illustrators and things like that. I ended up sending them my portfolio and they wanted me to be on their like roster for illustrators. And it was such an eye-opening experience, someone seeing my work and saying, you're good enough. And we want you. It really made me think this is within my reach. Like I can really do this. My art can be up to par here. My art almost is. This agency job thing was a little bit touch and go. There's a bit of miscommunication and I thought I didn't have it for a while. I thought I kind of lost it and I wasn't going to be a part of it anymore for a second. And I started thinking to myself, okay, I need this illustration. Like, this is what I want to do. I started thinking about my life when I'm like in my 30s, when like years and years and years from now. And I thought about, what do I look like? What do I do day to day? What do I want for myself? And I didn't want to be someone always gone at work. If I had children or, a house I wanted to be there and live in and take care of, I didn't want to be away. I just saw myself freelancing and being an artist and being able to work from wherever. And that's what I really wanted. And I decided to do everything I can now to reach that. I was applying to a bunch of agencies and I was just getting denied. I guess my work wasn't up to par of these more higher up there illustration agents. So eventually I sent it to agency that also was connected to like a mentorship program. And so they got back to me and they're just like, hey, your work's not up to par, but we really think that you would be a great fit for our mentorship program. I was like, okay, let me look into this. Let me see if this is really a good idea or whatever. And I looked into it. I looked into other like mentorship programs and illustration, things like that. And I didn't really want to go back to school and do so many years of school and illustration just for the uncertainty of if it'll even make my art of value. But this one, I felt it was the right fit for me. Like I knew this was the one I wanted to connect to. This is the one I wanted to do. So I eventually sent my portfolio and I was like, this is great. Like I'm gonna get this. This is great. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, they could like not accept me. Like I should not think that I just already have this. Like, let me take a second. They might not accept me. So time passed and eventually I'm like, okay, I need to also start looking for a part-time job because employment insurance isn't gonna last forever. So I knew the type of job I wanted. There's certain part-time jobs where I'm like, I'm not doing that. And there's other part-time jobs where I'm like, I'd be okay doing that. And I eventually was looking around for a part-time job and I also manifested this job. I swear I manifested this part-time job. So I ended up getting the part-time job that I wanted and the location that I wanted. Everything was great with this and it is great right now. So eventually I did get accepted by the mentorship program that I'm going to be doing. And it was just so exciting for me. And, I'm still technically with the agency from before, but I haven't gotten any clients, which is fine. I've just been working on my portfolio and creating art on social media and creating videos on here just to build some sort of community. Ever since I was younger, I always wanted people to share the same interests that I had and to find people that like the same things that I do. because it was just so comforting to have people that just get you and that just like the same things that you do. And that's why I always, when I was younger, thought about having a YouTube channel so I can share that with people. And I guess that's also the reason why I do it now. And one day I want to be a freelance artist. I want to make a living off being an artist, and I want to be an illustrator, and I want to create art for books. And I'm just going to say it out there and put it into the world as I usually do. And you just hope that you act in that version of yourself and that you can achieve it one day. And I know that I can. I know that's possible. And that's where I am right now. And I hope that I can continue to grow my YouTube because it's been something I'm so in love with. I feel like it gives me a little more structure to my days. And I feel like I'm actually working towards something when I'm putting out YouTube videos. It's so rewarding for me, even if like not many people watch it, you know. I don't care if it's very slow moving or fast moving. I just enjoy doing it. And I think that's what we all have to find with ourselves, is things that we enjoy doing in our day to day and fall in love with it. If you're on a similar journey and you've watched the end of this video, thank you. Please let me know if you're on the same journey, if you can relate to what I'm saying. And I wish you well on your journey. And if you'd like to join my community, feel free to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. And I'll be posting another video next week. So good luck to everyone out there that is on a journey of self-discovery and falling in love with art again, or your passion. I hope you reach that. I hope you reach your goals. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.